What's scarier, the monster outside your door or the one inside your mind? Welcome to Fearapy Sessions, horror from our perspective. We are your hosts, Pam and Dominique, two Black women therapists who live and breathe horror. And every week, we'll dive into the creepiest corners of film and culture through the lens of psychology, identity, and lived experience. From psychological thrillers to haunted houses, from the horror of not being believed to the monsters of the mind. No fear goes unanalyzed. Welcome. I wonder what the true entity looks like if there is an actual being to Pennywise, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen Pennywise show up as a mother who died in birth. We've seen him as the old man. We've seen him as a jar of pickles with body parts in it. Like we've seen Pennywise show up as people's fears. But what does a real Pennywise look like?
Welcome to the new episode of Therapy Sessions. I am your co-host, Pam.
And I'm Dominique. Hey, y'all.
So today we're going to jump into our thoughts or views on the third episode of It Welcome to Derry. And so we're gonna jump in. So this is your warning. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you have not seen episode 3, this is your chance to pause now. Come back later. Awesome. So now we're gonna jump on in, Dominique. So
Yes.
what did you think about episode 3 in general?
I thought it was good. So
Mhm.
far, I've been yet to be disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Same.
the show is just good.
Yeah, same. And so just to give context so people just to refresh their memory, it started in 1908. The original show is in 61 or so. We're at 1962 Cold War era.
Mhm.
So the season 3 is going to actually take place in 1908. So we're in season 1. So we're back in 1908 where we're seeing children who now are adults in Derry. So
Mhm.
General Francis Shaw and the shop owner Rose, who's a Native American woman in Derry. So that's where we're starting. We picked right up at a fair carnival, which is creepy because clowns. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it
So
reminds me of so when that part started, I was like, it was deja vu because I'm like, this looks like the scene out of the movie when they were seeing all the images of the fair. And I was like, this can't be his origin. Like, this isn't like they kind of alluded to that being the origin. I was like,
mhm.
but this can't be the origin. But yeah, it brought me
Yeah.
back to that
I think
moment.
it's a flashback, but it's like, is it his origin, right?
It's
You know,
not.
I think Pennywise seems like a kind of a force that's been around for a long, long time. And even
Mhm.
I think in another movie, I've heard a link between it and Tommyknockers, which is a crazy Stephen King. And they even say like that ship landing was the same ship that had it on it. So I've heard theories about that before. So we don't know how it got
Yeah.
here.
Well, see, that's fascinating because I'm thinking he's been there much longer than that because they kind of talk about in the scene where the indigenous tribe is having their community meeting. They're talking about all the digging and concerns about Rose talks about being concerned about what they'll dig up and what they've buried deep down. I'm wondering if he's been around for centuries or
Mhm.
millennia and they thought that they had trapped him and buried him deep and put some stuff over top, and that's how the last thing, the car from the Bradley gang got on top of there, and they're worried about them digging all the way up to bring him up. But he's still here. Like, could he
Yeah.
possibly be worse?
Well, and the thing is, it seems like the tribe there has a
Mhm.
handle on him. They
Yeah.
understand their pattern. They've created rules. And we can talk about that a little more when we talk about what kind of happened in this episode. But let's jump into some of the points that you want to kind of bring up about this episode. Like, what are?
Yes. So one of the main points in this particular episode, and we kind of talked about this and we have this and it's similar, is this repressed trauma in memory. And so I don't know if you remember on when we talked about episodes 1 and 2, I was like, this has been going on for a really long time. The town is used to it at this point. It doesn't even bother them it doesn't even bother them at this point, really. Like a child goes missing, it's, oh no, that's sad, move on with
They move
life,
on. Yeah.
right? And so there's that repression of the trauma. They've understood it, they move on, they don't even care about it. But the memory piece, so I thought it was absolutely fascinating when young Rose makes the comment of, like, basically, "You're not gonna remember me when you leave here."
Mhm. And he didn't. When he came back, he was like, "I didn't remember you till I just walked in here." And
Yeah.
I'm wondering though, is it even Derry? Once you leave Derry, do you no longer remember? There's some other kinda draws when you thinking about the drawback from the It movie, I wanna say, not the miniseries, but the
Mhm.
movie, maybe well, the miniseries as well. Once they left Derry and became adults, they didn't they didn't remember. They couldn't remember until they got back to Derry, and it was like, "Oh." But in the movie, the only one that didn't leave was Mike. So
Mhm.
Mike remembered everything. He was like the historian, the keeper of all things. In
Mhm.
addition, if you've seen Dreamcatcher, was another Stephen King movie, they have a similar thing. They're from Derry. Once you leave Derry as an adult, you don't remember, but if you stay, the memories stay.
Yeah.
So that's
And
very
it makes me wonder if it's, like, dissociative amnesia,
mhm.
or is it a way of, like, avoidance coping? Because we know that when there's trauma, the brain is a protective mechanism, right?
Yeah.
It's a wild thing. It can go against you or it can try to save you. And so I'm wondering if that's what's playing into it, or if there is, like, Derry's in a bubble,
Mhm.
right? Like, Derry is in this invisible bubble, and when they drive past the city limits, it's just like everything's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And, it seems like it has rules where it can't go to certain places, like, it stays underground in the sewer, and it
Mhm.
doesn't leave the forest. Like, the young Rose was not afraid once she got out of the
No.
forest. So
No.
that was interesting too.
Yeah. And I wonder what the true entity looks like if there is an actual being to Pennywise, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen Pennywise show up as a mother who died in birth. We've seen him as the old man. We've seen him as a jar of pickles with body parts in it.
Mhm.
Like, we've seen Pennywise show up as people's fears, but what does the real Pennywise look like?
Yeah.
And I wonder
Yeah.
if anybody knows or if they even remember. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So that was a shared one for both of us, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely share
what's one
one.
that you have?
I really appreciated since we're talking about Rose, there is a
Mhm,
continued use of indigenous people in Stephen King's literature. And, of course they do it here. I mean, they are trying to protect the burial ground
mhm,
where they are digging, where they dug up the car. They also use indigenous individuals and, of course, or at least the burial ground part in Pet Cemetery.
mhm,
So we know that's the thing. So, it's so that ongoing theme, even The Shining, they say that the Overlook Hotel was on,
mhm.
indigenous burial grounds, and so it's this whole mess with burial ground, you're gonna have a problem,
Stephen
right?
King is like, "Leave indigenous folks alone.
Leave
Leave
them
natives
alone.
alone." Like,
Yeah,
this is what all these terrible things that are happening in the world
right.
or in the US are because you came and messed with some folks who are minding their business.
He did an interview where he somewhat regretted adding that into The Shining because he felt like it would be looked at as evil, and that wasn't his intention. The way I see it, though, is stay away from what you don't know about. So you
Right.
don't know how to properly bury someone and they come back alive and be a happy person. So it's like, leave alone what you don't understand is what I'm taking from Stephen King. And so I think I love that, he continued that in this actual, and I love that they're showing more of that community in this
Yes.
series.
Yes. Yes.
What else stood out to you?
A theme of, like, the power of fear as a means of control was
Mhm.
something that stood out a lot because, in my opinion, Pennywise represents, like, feeding on vulnerability or feeding on shame, like, how internalized fear controls our behaviors. Because everyone that has seen him, everyone that he has popped up for is something that they're either fearful of or shameful of. So for oh goodness, for the sergeant, what was his name? Why am I forgetting his name?
Mhm.
Y'all, my memory is trash sometimes. I forget names. So
The what
Rose's friend.
General Francis
Thank you.
Shaw.
General Francis. Yes, 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 yes. Francis. He was afraid of that guy. Like, I don't even understand what the point was for him to go in there, but that
Mhm.
was a point of fear for him. And then for the others who have seen him, it is more of a point of shame. And so that fear, like Pennywise is feeding off of those
Yeah,
things for them. Like he is really,
yeah.
and I wonder if that's why the other two hadn't seen him yet.
Yes, you know what? You saying that automatically made me go straight to, one of my faves, Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Mhm,
Freddy,
mhm.
where Freddy could only grow if you shared about him. You had to
Yeah.
talk about him. You had to make him relevant, and if everyone forgot about him, then you forget about, wondering if Pennywise is the same. 'Cause, like, for instance, when did they start realizing that he comes back every 27 years? Like, when was that, established? Does he go away and they don't think about him for those years, and then when he comes back, he has to start from scratch and scare people and become a thing and get that power or that energy?
I think it's with the next generation,
Mhm,
right? When they become parents, I wonder if they stay. It's gonna be the people who stay, obviously, because they forget if they don't, but it comes with the parents who were children during that time where they were being tormented, like, somehow they're feeding this information
mhm.
to their children, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
Because did they ever tell the original the little boy who got snatched with the rubber jacket? Y'all, I promise I
Yeah,
remember
they
some
they
names. I
didn't
don't
see
remember
the
all.
little brother. He did not seem
Yeah.
to, and, like, in the ad that the TV and the movie
Mhm,
when they
mhm.
didn't seem to know about him at all.
Yeah, but he
And
got
so and they never went and talked to their parents about it because the parents dismissed
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I wonder what it is. I wonder how they find well, we didn't figure out that it was every 27 years until someone did they find news articles
Well, I think
where
they
there was,
did
like, a
find
rash
that.
of
I think Mike figured that out in
mhm,
the movie. So he went and looked at clippings, like the
mhm,
news articles, and he kinda dated it back like, "Oh, this happens every 27 years." And so
mhm.
as far as back as they could go, of course.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so that's how they figured that out. I mean, we don't know if that's been going on forever,
right,
but if that is the case, it seems like they're finding out about it, except for the indigenous kids. They seem
mhm,
very calm. They seem
mhm.
very like this is normal. So I'm wondering if they keep better documentation or if they're passing the information down differently than the rest of Derry.
Yes. Or if there is, like you said, there's something that control that they have over him if that actually protects them.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I think the fear aspect is definitely a good point though. Yeah, because it's control. Yeah. So, kinda added on to that, again, back to Rose, she protected him when they were in the forest with a slingshot.
Mhm,
The slingshot came from him, his dad got it for him at the carnival, but he had to trade it when they were on the side of the road and he needed some water. And so he traded that slingshot to Rose and he got water. But then when he was in the woods, afraid of the skeleton man, I guess is what they call him, who ended up turning into Pennywise, she pretty much took the slingshot, perfect aim, shot him in the eye, in the good
mhm.
eye. Right.
Right, 'cause he have another one.
Right. And then, of course, they ran and she stopped running when she hit the end of the woods. She was like, "You good now." But I like the slingshot was a callback to the movie,
Yeah,
pretty much. So that's the same way they defeated him in the movie with the slingshot. They did that in the TV adaptation and the movie. And so I think that slingshot being it seems like such an insignificant toy. And they're utilizing it. They're not because kids can't get guns and they don't
right.
have knives and stuff, but just getting a slingshot. Now they did at some point in the movie figure out that silver. I don't know why, but they came to the conclusion that silver can defeat them too. So they were using silver and slingshot. So,
Mhm.
I think that was, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if because it was her slingshot
Mhm,
or no, it was his slingshot
mhm,
originally, right? And he traded
mhm.
it to her for the water. Okay, never mind, because I was gonna say, I wonder if somebody gave that to her. And
Well,
if that's something that's been passed down and it has some kind of power, and if that's the same slingshot that they ended up with in the movie, like, is that slingshot being passed down?
it definitely made it to the 60s because they used that to look into the future. So evidently it got buried or something, and they retrieved the slingshot and and he was able to use the shining or the
Yeah.
shine to see, Pennywise, and Pennywise was not supposed to see him back, but they
Right.
had, like, a two-way situation going on, but
Mhm.
so that, slingshot definitely made it from 1908 to 1960s. It's
Mhm.
possible that it made it 20 something more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make
Okay.
sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the final theme that I noticed was around the sense of community healing. And so trying to understand like how does a town or even a person heal when fear is just so deeply woven into the identity of that person or of the town. And to me,
Mhm.
it just seems like it seems like they try they would suppress it. The adults suppress it, or the adults feel like they're beyond being a target, and so they're not really worried too much about it, but then it leaves it to the kids, and now they've created this environment where they just like violence seems so normal. It's just like, "Ah, it is what it is," and they let it be, and I'm like, "Is like, are y'all healing? Like, this doesn't seem healthy or normal."
Yeah. Yeah, and it almost and it kinda combines with the thought of fear too. It's almost like in Derry, if you mind your business and do what you're supposed to do, and you're a good girl or a good boy and from a good home, you're
Mhm.
almost immune from it in general because the losers club are a group of very specific kids who are like the outcasts, and it's kinda like, is Pennywise going after them for a reason, right?
Yeah, like, they're vulnerable. Like, it because why are you not going after the obnoxious ones? The
Yeah.
ones who are, like, literally tormenting people. Why are you
Well, he uses them as pawns.
Yeah.
He uses them to do his dirty work and to make these kids less significant.
Mhm.
So, like the Bauer gang in the movie, he uses them to do the work and blame it on them.
Mhm.
In the movie, they put it all on the Bowers kid, right? All the killings. They say he did it all. And then Pennywise rested at that
Mhm.
point. So yeah, so he uses them. And speaking of Bowers, my last kind of thing that I noticed, really cool callback to Shawshank.
Yeah.
It was very brief, but pretty much the sheriff who is a Bowers, Sheriff Bowers, who's probably, the grandfather of the Bowers that we
Mhm.
know of in the movie, version, but he's also a sheriff, and I wanna say that his dad was like a sheriff as well in the movie. And so he threatens Hank, Ronnie's dad, "If you don't tell me what really happened, you'll go down, let's see how you'll feel in Shawshank." And it's really, if you've ever seen the map of Maine, the fictional map of, Derry, Shawshank is, like, south of Derry. Like, Derry is almost center, and then you have all these, Salem Lot and different
Yeah.
places, the Pet Cemetery, but Shawshank is right under Derry, so it's very close. So I think they're doing a lot of callbacks in this one, and I definitely appreciate that.
They are. There's a lot of Stephen King
Yes.
woven throughout this because I don't think he's involved in this in any way, is he?
I'm not sure. He typically makes a appearance in a
Yeah.
lot of his stuff, but I think he probably figures, "Hey, as long as I wrote the book." So,
Yeah.
they're spinning stuff from there. They've added a few characters that are not part of the book, but, a lot of them have already been
They're
taken
gone.
out. They're gone. They definitely took them out. They took them out early, and then, I'm looking forward to the next episode to see if the proof that they gathered will stick. So the cameras they use, I'm like, I was waiting for the film to go up in flames.
See, I'm wondering and my thought was when they leave that room, it's gonna be blank. When people
Yeah.
go to look at it, it's gonna be blank. But you know what might happen?
Mhm.
I think they're gonna show it to the adults who know, and they're gonna try to downplay it.
Yeah. Or maybe adults won't see it. That could be a
Oh,
thing. What if only the kids can see it and the adults
mhm.
can't? So that could be a thing too.
Yeah, because we know Frances knows. We know Rose knows, right? Like, what other adults in that town are aware of what happened and had an experience?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'd definitely be
Okay.
interesting. I'm definitely waiting for episode 4.
Mhm.
So, yes. So, that wraps up this episode. So, look forward to the next one. If we missed anything, because there was a lot of callbacks. If there was any other
Yeah.
Easter eggs, put them in the comments. Let us know. Is there anything we need to look out for in the next episode 4 that comes on at the end of this week? Let me know because there's so much you can miss stuff really easily. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But, yeah, so, again, if you haven't watched it, Go back and watch it. If you haven't listened to any of our other episodes, if this is your first one, welcome. If not, welcome back. But if it is your first one, please make sure you go back to the beginning and listen to those episodes so you kind of understand some of the references that we're making as it relates to some callbacks to other episodes. But watch us on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Fearapy Sessions. But until then,
Have a great
we'll see you next session.
week.
Bye.